let's spend less than 3 minutes talking about the Tangzu Gate IEM. These are a $649 IEM, and they're using a combination of dynamic drivers, balanced armatures, and electrostatic drivers. They come with a pretty nice cable, some serious packaging, and a nice range of accessories too. You've got some really nice Tang Senkai tips and a big leather case. When it comes to the design of the shells themselves, they're really beautiful to look at, but not so good on comfort for me, and this is going to be very personal for all of us. I find something about the shape of them just never sits quite right in my ear, no matter what tip I choose on them. I don't know if it's the angle, the depth of the nozzle, something about them just never quite works for my ears. The other thing to mention is that this pair here, which is a demo pair, it could have been treated roughly, I don't know, but on one of the nozzles, it's like that nozzle's going to come all the way out. It won't actually come out, as far as I can tell, but it feels like it's going to, and it does spin when I put tips on, so be aware of that. As I said though, it's probably a one-off. Being a demo pair, it might have been used and abused a bit. In terms of their sound, the Gates have a sound that I would describe as a little bit V-shaped. They've got good solid bass, lots of sense of clarity, detail and texture up top, but a slight suck out through the mid-range. It's very slight, but I don't think they're entirely as rich or full through the mid-range as I personally would like. The bass has an excellent sense of weight and feel without being overemphasized or taking over. And whilst there is that slightly lighter sense of weight through the lower mid-range, which is a bit less weight than I would like, the transition from the mids into the bass is excellent, so it does all feel coherent and well pulled together. I think overall these are a wonderfully tuned IEM for those wanting clarity, detail, and a sense of texture in their sound whilst not giving up on bass. But I also found that sometimes they got just a little bit too grainy and a bit too textured on some poorly recorded material, so they could punish you sometimes depending on what you're listening to. Finally, overall staging and separation is very good, but it's quite lateral, not very much depth here. The Tangzu Baji is a little bit stronger in that regard. It's a similarly priced and similarly tuned IEM. I'll talk about that in a separate 3-minute video. And now for a really quick selected comparison, I put them up against the IE600 from Sennheiser, and the IE600 isn't as textured in the top end. You don't have quite as much sense of emphasis and that sense of extra clarity up there, and that gives the IE600s a slightly richer overall tonality that I personally enjoy. On the other hand, the IE600s aren't quite as tight and snappy through the bass, but they do give you a bit more sense of depth and layering in the sound, and I do also find the IE600s to feel a bit more coherent overall, whereas the Gates are really good if you want to hear everything pulled apart and separated so you can focus on each individual sound. Ultimately, I think the Gates are a lovely and engaging IEM for those seeking clarity, detail, but not losing out on a good sense of bass weight and feel.